Right. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not sure what happened there, but I had to restart the meeting and it seems to have worked this time. You're all automatically on mute, so you'll need to unmute if you want to speak.
All systems go, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All systems go then. Evening, everybody.
Evening.
Welcome. And we might as well just kick off, I think. So the purpose of the meeting is to deal with the planning applications that we have identified, which is predominantly the big couple of Head Edge applications. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to have a look at those and some of the material attached to them. But before we go through that, we need to deal with the matters on the agenda. So this is the first part is an open session, having said welcome one and all. Members of the public, which in this instance includes people who were not on the steering committee. So we take those step at a time, things that people want to say. But before we go into that, we should deal with the DPI matters and the what's the other one?
Hello.
Recordings. Yeah. Hi, Tom. So anybody got any DPI matters that they need to declare for this one?
No.
I take that as nobody. Okay. And does anybody wish to make a recording? It's all being recorded anyway, as you know, and gets posted on the YouTube channel for the Parish Council. Any other requests?
Nope.
No. Okie doke. Shall we go to who would like to speak on the Head Edge proposals or indeed anything else in the agenda? So, Joe, do you want to kick off? You got 3 minutes or thereabouts. If that's enough, we'll see.
So basically, I was the one with Damien Brook who asked the developer to come and speak to everybody at Head Edge. The concerns that were raised at the time back in May were the electric and water outages. I don't know if you know that every time there's a power cut in Homebridge or in Home Firth, it cuts the water flow up. There's a trip that trips the water. So the power can be off for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, and then the water does not flow up the hill until they've reset it. It's the same at my house. If there's a power cut at Hepworth, then I have to wait for Yorkshire Water to come and trip the electric, trip the water pump back up to pump the water up the hill. So when I was speaking to Yorkshire Water about this, they did say that they'd had a phenomenal amount of issues with the water pumping up the hill, but that Northern Power Grid had said they could provide power. Now, obviously, after lots and lots of complaints and lobbying, they have agreed to look at redoing the power lines, which is what they're doing at the moment in schools until the power cables got stolen on Saturday night, but we'll just ignore that. So they are trying to resolve that issue, which I think will resolve the power issue. So that's not really a reason to say no to the housing. But looking at the site, there are a lot of houses. I know you're not entitled to a view, but for example, the Dalton family that live in the house between, so the first house on Dunford Road, then the fields where they're going to build that join onto the existing estate that go down Grieve Road. And then there's a gentleman there called Alan Batty. They're going to build houses there. They're going to take some trees out that are hundreds of years old. They're not on the plans. The trees are definitely there. They are definitely there, those trees. So I don't know why they're not on the plans. And also, it's going to impact on the Dalton's sunlight because the sun rises from like the reservoir and goes over the top of Head Edge. They're going to really struggle with sunlight. Impact. I'm not really asked about a view because nobody's entitled to a view, but they are entitled to daylight. It's going to make their residential home quite a lot darker, and it is a traditional cottage anyway, so it is naturally quite dark. So that's my thought process. Plus, also, there is no bus service, there is no infrastructure. You know, there is some serious flooding issues there anyway. I do think that if they are going to build houses there, I prefer they built less.
Mm.
That's my thoughts.
Thank you, Steve.
Just to point out, no one has a right to sunlight. You have a right to light, but the equation for right to light is so tight that someone could probably build within 5 foot of your window and you have not lost your right to light. That's just a point of fact.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just because it's a point of fact, though, don't mean it's right, does it, morally?
Well, lots of things like we know.
Ethics and morality, Joe, are a different thing altogether.
I think it's useful to say at this point, Lawrence is not able to be here today, although he wanted to make some contributions, which echo just what you've said, Joe, to be honest. And I've had, as I'm sure other people have, had a good look through the complaints for both of these applications. So the one for 17 houses and one for 22, both coming from Jones Homes. That's interesting. Not one, but anyway, there you go. And the issues are echoed right the way through all the complaints. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to have a look at the responses from Savills that were put together in June in response to some of the consultations that had gone ahead with Yorkshire Water, with Environmental Health, you know, you name it, there's a list, 7 or 8 of them. And my reading of some of the responses was that they had been economical with the truth, would be my judgment, and taking a very particular view. So one of the things that, Joe, you've just pointed out, and also Lawrence pointed out, and numerous others, is this whole business of public transport and ability to walk places 2 kilometres, and they identify this as in easy walking distance, and there is public transport. And the trees issue, well, yeah, they had one of the groups, one of the local groups, I think, has had an independent survey done, an extremely detailed and thorough piece of work, it has to be said, which takes apart quite a lot of the assertions that are made by the applicants. So, and those are just 2 examples. So it seems to me, having had a good look at this and the evidence and the complaints, that there is a lot which Kirklees Planning needs to say, before you get this, we need this, and this, a whole raft of things that they need to answer before they will be able to offer maybe planning permission. But it's by no means a straightforward matter, would be my view. I don't know if anybody else wants to launch in at this point.
Oh, can I just say, are we discussing it now? We're not discussing.
Well, we're responding to what Joe was saying as the member of the public, and indeed,
Okay.
yeah. So we can now suspend standing orders if indeed, I mean, it's a bit of a grey area, this, but anyway, let's go through that process. So saying that we're bringing this item for discussion to the top of the agenda so that we can make recommendations about what to do next. Are we, those people who are on the committee, are you in favour of that? Can you raise your hands? Thank you. Okay, so off we go then. Anybody like to speak about this? I mean, I've said as much as I want to in response to what Joe was presenting and Lawrence had said. Jane?
Yes, thank you. I would agree with pretty much as Joe and you, Sarah, have said. There does seem to be a lot of improvements that are required, you know, including the power, including water supplies, including the effect of the construction, things like traffic and pollution and damage. When I had a look at some of the other reports as well, then the LLFA, the Flood Authority, they had objections, and they were concerned about soakaways and some of them being located in private gardens. Environmental health, they talked about poultry rearing nearby and the odour of that, and possibly noise as well. The geo-environmental risk assessments, they did say that the risk was low there, and the biodiversity net gain, then that could be achieved then as well. When I looked at what the residents were saying, most of them were not saying we don't want it at all. That they're saying we need to do something about these things before it starts, and so that these things will be mitigated. There were some positive things. One lady talked about benefit to the school. The school is under-enrolled at the moment, and she suggested that if there are more children, then that would be good for the school. In terms of transport, it could be if there are more people. I don't know. It might be there might be a better chance of getting the 310 to Haydedge. Who knows, and maybe even upgrading of the local park. So there could be positives as well. But I would say there are things that need to be done by the council and also by Jones Homes as well. They need to take these into account.
Thank you. Mary, did you?
Yes. I mean, I think the objections from residents they seem fairly sound, and there's a lot of them. But it is this is safeguarded land, so it's going to be built on. But it's a question of us identifying various conditions that need to be imposed, and particularly the trees. I mean, it's quite clear that Kirklees Council trees have voiced concerns and have got a holding objection and suggesting that some of the plots are turned round. So, there are some substantial objections to it. We can't oppose the principle of development because that's already been decided, but I think we have to suggest a long list of conditions.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about the Section 106 money. I wasn't sure where to say it now, because we have Section 106.
Yeah.
It's later on the agenda, isn't it?
Put it in now because it relates to this, then do, yeah.
I understand. I mean, there will be. Oh no, it won't be a large amount, will it? But there is some Section 1. There will be some Section 106 money because it's not possible to accommodate the biodiversity net gain on the sites. And I think the suggestion is. I mean, Joe the suggestion is to improve the play facilities, and I think Lawrence has suggested that's not really what the residents want. And one of the I think one of the things that we've talked about in the reference group and also on the planning committee was the parish council getting involved at an early stage in working with residents on how Section 106 might be spent in a way. Is that true, Joe? Is that the residents don't want it spent on any improvement on the play?
The thing is that Kirklees have already got a works in place to upgrade the parks anyway, so the money's already light there for that. It's imminently. Jane will know when she was a councillor that it was already in parks and funding. It's just waiting to get to their point. So I don't really think it is the park that's the problem. It's more like, you know, when you buy a house for £500,000 and then you've got to go to B&Q and buy a generator because you've got no power. Like literally half the residents in the new houses have battery packs and generators in their garage, and they've paid £500,000 for their house.
Right.
In 2026. What's that about?
Anybody else got anything that they would like to add on this? Pick up anything in particular? I had a look at the whole bit about, in both of their applications, about affordable housing. They use the affordable housing rather than social housing, but there you go. So the affordable housing being 20%, and in both instances, they've chosen to round down the percentage, which I thought was an interesting strategy. It will be interesting to see when and if there's ever the ability to really leverage that sort of the work on affordable stroke social housing. Tom?
Yeah, is that something we can make as an observation, that they round up rather than round down in the number of houses? I've had a look at the plans. Yeah, it does look to be considerably, like, mostly large houses, not much for the first-time buyers or anything like that. Did the houses have? I had a chance to look at the style of the houses. Did they have solar panels, heat pumps, and everything like that?
No solar panels, but roofs that have been built in order to accommodate, or would be built in order to accommodate, was what I read. But it does make. It suggests, I wouldn't say it's absolutely definite that all of the houses will have heat pumps, although that seems to be the implication. But it doesn't say absolutely no question that that's what will happen. But anyway,
just wondering, like,
not in the right
regarding
direction.
our climate change statement that we have, and whether they fit this. It's just another observation, really. Like, as Mary mentioned, a lot of this land has been designated on the local plan, so it's about trying to get the best we can do. And like the electricity issues that Joe's mentioned and everyone's aware of, this might be the kind of thing that we need to say to them. You need to put some money into your pocket to make this better, and if you can do this and improve this for everybody, then that's part of the condition for it. Because currently, then all the problems are having in Haydedge. Adding more houses to the problem is not a good idea, is it? So something needs to be done, and maybe these two plans could be part of the deal where they put some money into it if there's nothing else for the 106 money to go into. And I think what Jane mentioned about the 310 bus service going up there as well, I think that would be that could be a positive that could come out of this as well.
Joe, did you want to say something else? You're on mute.
I was just going to say that this. I'm not against the development, but like the way that the houses are put in Haydedge, you can only sort of have solar panels if they're facing the school or the reservoir. If you have them the other way, they're not going to work, you know, because of the way that the sun rises and falls over the village. So that the way that, although they might have put a roof in so you can have solar panels, they actually, and I know they go on daylight, not actually on sunlight, because I have some solar panels, but for premium occupancy, if you're going to spend $5 or $6 grand on solar panels, you do want to have a roof that will accommodate them and you can reap some of your money back. Do you know what I'm saying? So the way that they've designed the houses and structured them, it doesn't work in a favour of solar panels.
So would you want
the direction the roofs are facing?
Would you want to see them reconsider the positioning, shall we say? Anyway, that's something to take in consideration. Sorry, Chris, you've got your hand up. Chris? You're on mute. Looks like it's working now.
Yeah, there seems to be a delay on my mute button stuck. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, about Joe's local knowledge on the solar panels thing, maybe the roofs could be reconfigured, but I think we should push for clarification on the thermal heat pump thing. It seems like this whole thing's a bit of a negotiating process, and I imagine the developers are going to try and get away with as little as possible, and we need to try and push Kirklees to demand as much as possible in either direction. So asking, a vague suggestion of heat pumps is not as good as a firm commitment or a promise of heat pumps. So I'd ask that we seek clarification on that point.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me as well. Tom, were you wanting to say something?
No, nothing more.
No. Okay. Anything more on this, Mary?
Well, I do think they are crammed on. I think they're crammed onto the sides, aren't they? I think there's a lot of houses for the size of the site.
Yeah.
But what I mean, but if it, and it's awkward, isn't it? Because we're talking about two different sites, and if they were all together, then that their argument about it being a small site and not being enough room to put some like public amenity spaces wouldn't really fit because it's two relatively small sites. I guess that holds, but they do seem to me very much crammed on. I mean, again, I want to ask Joe about. I mean, two of the ones that are closest to Beaushore Inn. I think two of the houses that are have got access directly from Grieve onto Grieve Road, and most of them are accessed further down in the middle of that stretch of Grieve Road. But those two, it's pretty close to the junction. And
it would be less than 50 meters from the entrance to the junction. That junction's quite tight as well because the house on the corner is like really close. So you do have to pull out quite a bit, to turn right or left. I go straight down. Got some cows and choppers that I have to go and check every day. So I do that route every day, twice a day. But also, the site nearest Grieve Road has got a lot of houses in it. The site further away to the top of the village does not, there's not as, like, they don't seem as rammed in. Do you know what I mean? Then the Grieve Road bit is the bit that's bothering me the most, I think, out of both of the developments. There is obviously electrical issues which Northern Power Grid are currently fixing because they're having to come into my fields to change poles. And obviously we've had schools without power for a couple of days because the generator had the power cables stolen. So obviously everyone's going to have to suffer a little bit with this, but to fix it, which is fair enough because it does have to be fixed. But also, like, the 106 money could be used for the bus service. It could also be used to give them a backup generator for the water pump. So even if the water does cut out, a pump could be still pumping water up the road because it is a basic necessity, isn't it, to be able to flush your toilet and boil a kettle. It's not like a big ask.
I think the suggestion from Lawrence that the 106 money could possibly be spent on the maintenance of the play area, but I don't think 106 money I don't think 106 money could not be spent on that. I don't think it can be spent on revenue, can it? I think it has to be spent on capital development. So maybe that might be worth exploring, Joe, the generator.
Yeah.
Just, to give them a backup. Just to give them a backup, really, because if there was a backup generator that kicked in for like 48 hours, then they wouldn't suffer with loss of electricity, loss of water at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you very much. Anything more? So we need to put together what it is that we want to say in response to these applications from the parish council. So I've not been part of the planning process committee before. How has that usually been done? You just make a whole list of suggestions, or do we go away and have a think about it and then come back with a set of proposals which we discuss? I mean, what would you think is the best way to deal with this?
So I would normally take extensive notes during the meeting. I've been scribbling away while you've been talking. And I would generally then clarify with you now what the points are that we want to send off. And just so that we're all agreed, I will then type them up and send them to Kate Lees. We don't get that many big ones, so that does take me a little bit longer. Sometimes it's just, oh, we'd like to see a heat pump here or whatever here. This is a slightly longer list. So do bear with me. My understanding from the discussions is that you don't want to object to this application, but you don't want to see it in its current form.
We want to apply conditions, I think, is the
Yes. So what you're going to be doing is saying a sort of in principle support for development on that site. However, you would like to see X, Y, Z conditions. And if we list the conditions and agree on them all now, that would be because we like to get these in quite quickly. I mean, I suppose this isn't going to be decided for a while, so I can sort of recirculate and people can add things in. We've probably got a little bit of grace on this one, because we're not going to be meeting an officer decision on this. This one will almost certainly be going to committee, I would have thought.
Okay.
Hands up already.
Mary, and then Tom.
I think it's probably important to differentiate between the two. I mean, we've talked in general terms, haven't we, about both applications, but and some points will be common to both of them. But I think we need to make it clear that so some points will be in both lists, but there are some things I think that are different, because I don't think the trees issue is so marked in 91627, the one that's further away from both shore.
So do you want to go through a list for both, and then you can give me the specifics on each site as well?
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Steve. Tom, you had your hand up. Do you want to?
Steve can jump in now, and then I can say my piece afterwards if Steve's piece is relevant.
I think it's the Bowshore, the extension of the Bowshore View one application. That sounds as there's going to have to be a complete redrawing of it, because they're building over a main sewage pipe. And that means that application is actually not it cannot be implemented.
Yeah.
Because Yorkshire Water won't approve it. Or if Yorkshire Water actually has stated in their comment that in its current form, it cannot be approved.
Yeah.
Which seems to me that the architects have failed in their duty to actually find out what's underground before they start drawing pretty little ticky-tack boxes.
Yeah. So a major recall. Is this the 17 or the 22?
I'm trying to think. I think it was the 17. I think it was the extension of the Bowshore View.
Yes,
and that was one of the public people.
I mean,
comments from public.
To draw up any plan.
It was about as well, the Yorkshire Water and the sewage, for sure.
But
Joe,
draw up any plans over, on top of a major sewer is just incredibly lax.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
I wonder.
Yeah, my suggestion was going to be to refuse both plans because we're unhappy with the layouts. But that's the main reason, isn't it? I think what Steve just mentioned about the storage, the trees, and the layout in general, like what we've mentioned about the solar panels and things like that. And I think Mary also mentioned as well over intensification, like grounds. So like they thought that we were all getting crammed in, and maybe there was a couple, maybe too many. And also the issue about the social housing being rounded down. Sorry, is it low cost housing or whatever?
Affordable housing, rounded down percentage.
Affordable housing. Yeah. I think they're all grounds for us to recommend refusal on that. And like I said, I think in principle, we are not against building on these sites because they've been recommended in the local plan. And it's probably going to happen. It's going to happen at some point because that's the way the local plan is. But at the moment, what's being suggested isn't good enough and isn't right. So we should recommend refusal on the grounds mentioned. But although there's different grounds for each of the sites, as been mentioned.
So that's what you're suggesting, Tom, I think, is something which is actually not approval in principle at all. It's saying rejection in principle for these reasons. And that's not to say we don't approve of development per se, but on the way these stand at the moment, no, we do not recommend approval. And these are the
100%.
Yes. So it's objection. We can't refuse, or we can't refuse anything. We can object.
But we can recommend, can't we?
Yeah. By objecting, we recommend that Kirklees refuse. So yeah, that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Gemma, do you think you've got enough there then?
I just want to clarify that with you. So you were opposing on the grounds that you feel like the affordable housing doesn't meet what you'd expect. The sites are too intensified, and then you would like to see on a redesign the following measures, which would be Section 106 money to go on a backup generator for the water pump, and an extension of the 310 route. Was that right? Somebody had said that
so far?
Yeah.
And then there's the Yorkshire Water Sewerage business.
So that's the opposed bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yorkshire Water. Sorry. Yeah, there was lots of you speaking at once. I didn't manage.
Sorry.
The Yorkshire Water thing, it's the 91628, the 17 dwellings one.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got. I will just rewatch this in the morning.
Right.
Before I finish typing them up. So we'd like to see 106 money to go on a backup generator and the 310 extension. We'd like to see any redesigns to optimize roof aspect for solar. We'd like to see commitment to heat pumps, a firm commitment to heat pumps.
We want to see the trees staying.
Trees.
Yeah. I think that's particularly for that same one for 91628. I think that the previous one 91627. I think there aren't really any trees on that site.
I think the majority of the issues are with the one next to Grieve Road. The exit from that estate onto Grieve Road is dangerous. I can't see how highways are going to approve that.
So you want to flag.
I'll add that into my post, please.
Yeah.
Is sight lines from Grieve Road, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The 91628, the Grieve Road.
Sorry, Jane.
Yes, I'm just not sure really about opposing these things going forward. I just wonder whether it might be whether the parish council may have more clout if we say that we're not opposing, but we have these very firm conditions that we would like them to take on board. The other thing I was just going to mention, Joe, didn't they, when we were at that meeting in May, didn't they say that the entrance into it wasn't going to be by a Grieve Road? It was going to be by one of the other roads where there's already houses, and it's going to link with that. I can't really quite remember. I think that's sort of what they said.
They've got 2 entrances, but
they've got 2 entrances, right? Okay, yeah.
And the other thing as well is, I think we should, as a parish council, ask for one of the ward councillors to be represented at the panel meeting. So you can ask your ward councillor if we can go to committee to discuss this. So I think if we feel that strongly about it as a parish, someone should go to that meeting and say, these are our objections opposed. No, I'm not opposed to building the houses. I want to make that very clear. They are going to get passed, it doesn't matter, but we do need to influence the impact on the existing village. And the villagers weren't particularly bothered about additional housing. They were bothered about the infrastructure. They were bothered about the impact on them. They were bothered about the power. They were bothered about the water. They weren't overly enamored with the new houses because there's lots of them, but they weren't completely against it.
No,
not like
they
were
weren't.
last time.
No.
The writing's on the wall. Do you know what I mean? They know that the writing's on the wall, but they want improvements with that. It's a trade-off, isn't it? We've got to make the village life better than it currently is. Like, I lived there 25 years ago, and it's worse now than it was then. Work that out.
When you say representation from ward councillors, do you mean parish ward councillors or Kirklees ward councillors?
So you have to ask a ward councillor.
You don't have to. You can have both. You can have both. I mean, the parish council can, as far as I know, because it's like a member of the public can go to these meetings. So
we have to ask for it to go though to panel, don't we? It's not guaranteed to not go to panel.
No, you'd have to get. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on.
So how it works? So you have to ask a ward councillor to get it to panel.
Now I understand.
Right.
So you want me to write to the Home Valley South ward councillors to ask them to
tell them. So just tell them to put it to panel, and then, for example, one of your panel can go and represent the views of the valley. Because you're the parish council, aren't you? It would make a big difference if a parish council representative went, because they never do.
So in this case, it would be yourself or Councillor Bailin that we would say. So
I thought it'd be a lot on that little working group you've got going on there. I mean, I'll go.
It could be one of the steering group, or it could be, I think that would be.
I'm not saying I'm not.
Sorry, are you saying, just to clarify, are you saying that
Sorry, can I just hold a halt here a moment, please? Chris was wanting to say something.
Yeah, and Joe kind of said it. It's like, the chair of this steering group or a representative from this steering group could represent the parish council. It doesn't have to be one of the actual local ward councillors, in my view.
Yeah,
I think politically it'd be better if it'd be one of you. Do you know what I mean? I think politically, so it's not me or it's not Lawrence. It's someone who's not the parish councillor for that area. Especially when one of us is Labour and one of us is Conservative.
But there's nothing to stop you or Lawrence, or indeed both of you, going if you want to. And given that you are the parish ward councillors, that might be something that you want to consider. But I take the point that representation on behalf of the parish council from the planning steering group would be a very useful contribution. So can we add that into the mix?
Yeah, I'll ask Damien or Robert to ask for us to go to panel, and then.
Well, I think the request can come from this committee.
That's what I was asking. Does it need to come from us to ask?
I think yes.
I can write to all three to request that they ask it to go to panel. Is that what we're saying? Right? Yeah.
That would be my view. What does the rest of the committee think?
You only one, don't you, sir?
So I think we need sorry. I think it'd be good to have a representative from this group.
Okay, we can decide
either in, so we could have both. You could have a parish council,
absolutely,
member and a ward councillor as well.
Steve,
I mean, one of the ward councillors could actually go as a representation of local residents and put their views rather than 20 local residents each standing up individually. One of the ward councillors could go as their representative and put their view as a group, as well as the parish council officially going.
Well, I think, I mean, my view here would be that it's up to the ward councillors to decide how they wish to best pursue that. But from our point of view as the steering group, I think we've decided that there will be representation from this group on behalf of the parish council. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mary?
Sorry, I was just going to go back to the conditions. Is that okay? Because I don't think we're quite finished. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So so the for 91628, that's the 17 dwellings. I think I can't remember whether you said, Gemma, that it's the building over the objection to building over the public sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. And the other thing was, again, I'm not sure whether we might capture it, Gemma, it was about a clear statement that there would be heat pumps.
Yes.
Heat pumps would be
Got that one as well. Yeah.
for both of them. Yeah.
Gemma, do you need to go through, or do you think you've got everything now?
I think I've got everything, but I will rewatch the video before I finalize it all anyway. So just to kind of triple check, the conditions, the objections were about building over the public sewer, too many houses for the side of the site, sight lines being an issue on Grieve Road. We've got that the affordable housing was rounded down, the site's too intensified, and then for conditions, we said we'd like to see Section 106 money to go towards backup generation and the extension of the bus route, aspects of the roofs to optimize solar, firm commitment on heat pumps, the trees that we think have maybe magically vanished from the plans to not magically vanish from real life. Just general infrastructure needing an improvement and a kind of acknowledgement of that, which I will put in as part of the objection as well. And I think that was everything, unless anybody spotted anything I haven't.
Which site were the vanishing trees on, Joe?
I've got them on 91628, whichever one that.
Yeah, it's 928.
On the Grieve one, Grieve Road one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the 17.
They were vanished at that. They were vanished at the consultation day as well. I asked them where they'd gone.
That's the smaller site of 17, isn't it? That one. Okay.
Yeah, the 628.
Yeah.
91628. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll write it into slightly more coherent sentences, and hopefully that will.
So the next part of the process then will be that you'll send a summary to the steering group to say this is what it is that we're saying that we're going to present to Kirklees.
Usually I would just send that to the chair and you cast your eye over it, make sure you're happy with it. But I can, as it's a bigger one, I'm happy to circulate it to this group.
I'd like everybody to see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will need to get it off as soon as possible though, so I'm going to have to put a deadline on any comments or changes. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Okie doke. Right then. Anything else on the head edge? In that case, we are now back to the agenda. So, minutes of the last meeting. I wasn't there, but
I think we've got the terms of reference first.
Sorry?
I think we have the terms of reference first.
Oh, Have we? What, before the minutes of the last meeting?
Yeah, the reason I put it in first was because you're sort of operating without any terms of reference for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah.
Good point.
Done it before.
Oh, Joe's gone. I didn't get a chance to say bye-bye. Okay, terms of reference then. They seemed, I mean, from my point of view, there are two things, I suppose. One is that, thank you, Gemma, I have to say, very much indeed for putting these together. I know that's already been said, but it's worth reiterating. I think they're really comprehensive. And of course, they get reviewed on an annual basis, which I think is a really important point. Is there anything that anybody wants to amend or add, or are you happy with them as they stand?
Yeah.
To be accepted. Okay,
Yeah.
can we have a vote on this one then, please? Hands up if you're approving. Oh, wonderful. Unanimous.
So just to say that they will be formally adopted at next full council.
Yeah, so that's in September, yeah?
Yep.
Unless I've missed ones before then. No,
No,
that was a joke.
7th of September.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. So we're back to apologies for absence then now.
No
None?
apologies. You're all here.
No?
Yep.
DPIs,
You've done that.
any?
No.
Anything from anybody? No? Anything in private session? Haven't got to this point. No?
No.
All right then. Minutes of the last meeting. Assistant clerk and members will update on progress and matters arising. Is there anything? Sorry, Mary.
I was just going to say, I must say I like these streamlined minutes.
Well, I mean, these ones took me.
Then
Those ones took
crystal
me a
to the
little longer
point.
than usual, actually, because I had to reformat it. But next time's going to be an absolute breeze.
Yeah.
Were you going to be into ChatGPT summaries here?
No, actually, it's easier just to write a template and then fill it in. I found than getting AI to do it, because AI overcomplicates things sometimes. What I would say is that I've got nothing to update you on, other from the last ones, other than things that are already in the agenda. So I don't need to do that. I have removed a lot of standing items that we kind of, or rather you collectively decided that you didn't need as standing items anymore as well. So you've got a shorter agenda from now on as well.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. So we've dealt with Hayed Edge. So we're now on to, oh, sorry, unless there's anything else from the last minutes.
No.
That's not in the agenda. Okay. All right, on to 20-mile-an-hour zones then. Anything to say on that?
In general, I know this is close to schools. Now that Home First Centre has got one of the smallest 20-mile-an-hour zones that it's possible to have, and really makes it rather pointless, I think we should be looking at 20-mile-an-hour zones in the valley as a whole. And tie in with that problems with on-street parking.
Yeah, and how?
And sort of do an exercise and hand that on to Kirklees Highways. As
So
in,
how are you proposing we would actually do that?
well, I've got my own ideas as to where we should.
Well, feel free to share them.
To ban on-street parking and extend the 20-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah.
And actually make.
What I mean is, if
look
that's
at
your
Hondi's,
suggestion, how do we actually move that forward?
well, I mean, if you want to, I can start the ball rolling and produce some maps and hand them round to the group just to start the discussion.
Yeah.
if people would be
people like
happy with
that?
that.
Jane?
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. We have tried this, I have to say, already with Kirklees. And also a lot of residents, quite a number of residents have said, you know, why is it such a narrow 20 miles an hour? Why doesn't it go up Rocher Lane up to the school, for example,
Yes.
and have that as 20 miles? Although, to be fair, it's probably going to be difficult to be more than 20 miles an hour. But yeah, I think it's a bit ridiculous that it's so narrow, but we have tried. Yeah, we have tried.
I mean, when you look at Honleys, which stretches quite a distance, and then Home Firth, I mean, you're in and out of it before you realise you've broken the speed limit.
They did have
Be a
some
lot easier
reason. I
to
can't
do
remember really
Wales
what the
would be,
reason was,
wouldn't
though.
Just make it the Hull. Anyway, sorry. Tom and then Chris.
I had an email a couple weeks ago from a local resident about somebody who parks their car right close to a junction in Jackson Bridge. The junction from the top of Jackson Bridge, it goes onto Sheffield Road.
Right.
As if you're coming out of Jackson Bridge. And this car basically parks right at the top up there. And they were asking if you can put double yellows in down the left-hand side of that road and get it all done. So I emailed it off to the Kirklees officers, and I got a really quick response within about a couple of hours, just immediately rejecting it out of hand, because it pretty much said that, like, the amount of cost that it would be involved with consultations to get this kind of limit put in there, and because there hasn't been enough accidents and actually doing it kind of left me a bit disheartened, actually, and a bit dejected. I understand why it was rejected, because obviously they're officers, they're doing their job, and they've got a budget, and it must be really hard for them to actually the formalities of doing something like this and getting 20-mile-an-hour limits around. It's so frustrating. It should be so much bloody easier just to go and paint some WR lines on a bit of road right next to a junction. But as well, we all know that it makes sense that. Yeah, but we all, especially on a narrow road, but also we're pretty sure all of us know that you're not supposed to park within, is it 2 or 3 car lengths of the junction? But we know that, but not everybody does. And that makes it frustrating, because you shouldn't really need to have double yellow lines in that instance.
You should.
But, I totally agree with Steve, because as well, about the 20-mile-an-hour, it's because I've been doing quite a bit of driving with work down south recently. And the amount of 20-mile-an-hour limits down south, the whole of Wales has bloody got them. So why is it so difficult to get them in Kirklees and around like areas which are schools, which it should be paramount to have more safety around it? It's just,
I suspect it's a lot cheaper to do a whole country than it is to do bits and pieces. You know, just say it's 20 miles an hour right the way through. End of chat. Anyway, sorry, Chris.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is one of those issues that we really don't have any jurisdiction or power over. It may well be Tracy Brabin. I mean, I actually filled in a thing to be on some kind of filling in questionnaires in consultation on transport in West Yorkshire, I guess. So people who are concerned about 20 miles an hour could engage in that kind of response to because I think it's either a Kirklees thing or it's a Wicker thing, and from my experience in police, yeah, exactly. You know, I worked in conjunction with Bradford Council, went to a lot of community meetings. It was always said that these things don't happen unless the accident statistics dictate that they should happen, which is not the right way about it. But in a world of limited resources, that's the reality of how highways get improved. I just as a hopefully amusing aside, I did have a traffic colleague who went around with a measuring tape, measuring the distance from the corner of the junction and putting little white lines and gleefully going around giving people parking tickets if they exceeded the white line. But that's down to the enthusiasm of individual officers wanting to do that, and I suspect individual officers perhaps don't have as much time as my colleague did 30 years ago.
I think what this steering group on behalf of the parish council can do, if we want to, is to make some recommendations to Kirklees. Now, whether we think they're going to have any influence, or indeed to the West Yorkshire, whatever they're called, authority, Tracy Brabin's lot. But do people want to ask Steve to pursue his suggestions and come to us with some suggestions? I think that'd be a good
Yes.
idea. If you've got the time and inclination, Steve.
No,
Yeah.
Yes.
the time might be awkward, but
Nothing else to do, let's face it.
no, I've got nothing else to do.
No, thank you very much for that offer. So will you bring those to
I
our
will action it and bring
meeting
it
at some
to,
point?
at some point, I will act, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mary, did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
yes, because we, I think when I first joined the council, we had quite a bit of a go at this. Tom should remember, and apparently there was a process then in Kirklees. I assume it's still continuing, which was to create 20 miles an hour areas around schools, but they were starting in North Kirklees and moving really, really slowly, and southwards, I guess. I think it would be good perhaps to ask whether that is still in progress, where it's got to. We did have somebody come from Highways, I think, to speak to us about it, explaining how difficult it is, and we did at that point contact the MP. Who was Jason McCartney at the time, and yeah, so we were going to kind of do a campaign with him. I just think it's a good thing for us to put some effort into and try and achieve something.
Yeah. Okay. Can we action that one? Make some inquiries. Is that possible, Gemma?
Yes, this will be nearly a year of trying to make some inquiries. This is not a new thing. For those of you that are new to this group, the planning committee have been trying to re-engage a dialogue about 20 mile an hour zones for quite some time. You'll notice we've got a reference number that's in this in the agenda, and that's sort of the result of lots of different attempts at communication directly with Highways, with customer services, with named officers that we had that haven't responded. So far, all we've managed to get is a reference number. So I can follow up again, but I would manage expectations a little.
Okay. Tom.
Is it something that, like Mary just mentioned, that I remember getting in touch with Jason about it, Jason McCartney at the time. Is it something we can pursue with Paul Davies and Tracy Brabin? Just to kind of like, I think the appetite is there within Kirklees, but the actual rollout of it is a nightmare. And I think a lot of this is due to the costs and due to the administrative process of it all. Is this something that they can pursue at a national level to try and make this easier and better? But yeah, I think we should try and pursue them too, but also Steve to do his maps as well, because I'm interested to see that.
So is your suggestion that we, that the parish council, the steering group, writes to Paul Davies and says, what can you do about this? Because it's ridiculous, sort of thing. Not quite those, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and if we can get Tracy Brabin on our side as well to adds more weight to it, doesn't it? Yeah. Sorry,
Chris?
Yeah, I think there are two aspects to it. General 20 mile an hour zones wherever possible is one thing. But if we've been promised, like whenever years ago, or we've been told that there is a rolling programme throughout Kirklees to do them around schools, but they haven't got around to us yet. I think that's very legitimate for us to ask what's the likely timescale for us to get them, and that's whether we do that direct to Kirklees or get the local Kirklees councillors who should be lobbying on behalf of their wards to say when are we going to get them? That would be definitely worth pursuing.
So is that second? So one suggestion is we write on behalf of the parish council to Paul Davies and Tracy Brabin, and the other is that we ask our ward councillors to find out what the heck's going on in terms of rollout of the Kirklees plan.
I mean,
Yep.
have we got a letter or email from Kirklees historically saying that there was this plan, and then just ask for an update, I guess.
I don't know.
There's nothing that I could find.
No.
I know that there was some contact quite some time ago about it, but I couldn't find anything.
mean,
So it's before my time.
I think it was before. Yeah, before it
I
was.
would guess Charles Greaves might know.
Somebody came out and talked to us, and that's when we discussed it. Somebody from
right.
different
That's a
highways,
question,
yeah.
can't
Well, I mean, there should be a paper trail somewhere about it, shouldn't there? They didn't
You
get
would think so, but it depends how far back we're going and where it might be hiding.
Well, it sounds like it's living memory, or at least 4 years, 3.5 years.
7.
Anyway,
Yeah,
a bit of sleuthing, I guess. And, yeah.
Older than what we're keeping in the archive on the shared drive, anyway.
Anything more then on the 20 miles an hour? We've got some action points there. Jane?
I've just been looking on my phone actually, just to see how many children are killed on UK roads. So 45 to 55 children killed on UK roads each year. And over 2,300 children are seriously hurt on the roads each year. So we need it, I think, for sure.
It's worth using the statistics as leverage, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Okay. Next standing item is planning policy guidance and consultation. No updates.
So there was an update today, which I did forward round.
Yes.
So it came too late to go into these papers, but it did arrive. Well, it arrived on Friday when I wasn't working. So it's the most recent draft of the Peak District local plan, I believe. So it's really to ask what you would like to do about that.
Well, I think I suggested, and I can't remember whether I replied to everybody or just to you, to be honest, that would be something that we could ask the local plan review group to have a look at, to see how that impacts on or aligns with or whatever, what our Kirklees and the Home Valley response is, if you see what I mean. Does that make sense to you, Mary?
Yes, I think so. I mean, we had contributed from members of the reference reference group in the past on the previous processes of this developing the plan. So it probably does. I think it probably does make sense. But from what I had a very quick look at the emails, and I think it's about legal conforming with legal requirements and so on. So our input might be very limited, but at least I do think we should respond.
Yeah, I suppose my thinking was if there is something in that we can use to help us in our response, if it's flagging up things, then that's quite useful. Yeah. It might not be. Anyway, yeah, so we'll recommend that it gets referred to the local plan review group. Yeah. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Will you want to submit any response through the parish council? Do you want me to send it for you on behalf? And in which case, do you want to run a response through this group before? So we just might need to look at the dates and how that goes. I think it's September, the deadline for comment.
Yeah, I think it is. We haven't before, have we?
No, I think in previous situations it's just gone directly, or you've sent it to me and I've kind of reformatted it a little bit to make it. Everybody writes a different bit in different fonts and things, so just make it all the same and then send it off.
Sorry, can you remember what the deadline is for responses?
I can find it.
I think it's September.
It's definitely September. Just bear with me 2 seconds because I've still got the email in my inbox.
So I'll be doing the agenda for the next reference group at the end of this week. I can add it to the agenda.
So it's strictly 23:59 on the 20th of September. So 1 minute to midnight
59. They
and
won't
not
accept
a minute
any late
after.
submissions.
So they've got a bit of time. Okay.
They have said that they won't take anything later.
So you're going to take that forward with the reference group then, Mary? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do that.
Thank you. Anything more on? No. 106 funding standing item. Anything to report there?
I suppose it's this is a suggestion, and I think that, well, there are two issues. One is that there is an awful lot of money sitting in Kirklees Council coffers, which is 106 money. But as I understand it, it'd be extremely difficult to try and get that money moving. I don't know whether Jane knows anything about that. It's a really complex process. So I don't. We have made a list of the Section 106 money for the home hub from the parish council area. And I mean, some of it's been sitting there for a very long time, but then developers are adept of suggesting that they're going to put money towards something, perhaps a school, which they know is not actually needed, and then the money after 5 years will revert to the developers. So I feel we might not do very well trying to chase that, but I think a positive thing would be what I think we've kind of started the process tonight, which is when there's a question of Section 106 money coming, liaising with residents so that residents can have a say on what the money is going to be spent on.
Is this I mean, I think that's very sensible. Is this another instance where we might be saying to our ward councillors, can you find out what the hell's going on here, please?
Well, we might as well use the offices of the ward councillors, because yes, if they can find out what's happening to that 106 money, maybe.
Jane?
Yeah, I mean, I do know that it does get stuck, because when I was, doing the work with education and schools, etc., and therefore the money doesn't always go to where the residents want it to go. And as you were saying, Mary, the developers can, put in their own ideas as well, and they'll say, this is what we want, and obviously it doesn't happen, and then they can keep their money. So when you look at the stuff, I'll try and dig it out. I did have like a long version. It was probably about 5 pages of it, the sorts of things that can happen. And talking to the guy who is very much involved in the schools, it wasn't, it wasn't that they were trying to save the money or anything. It was just it had become too complicated, and they were trying to untangle it and use some of that money.
Did you get the impression that this is not a Kirklees issue, but this is to do with regulations that are national?
I guess I don't really know. I mean, it was only Kirklees that we were talking about, but I guess other places will be coming up with the same problems. But it does seem a shame, when that money could be wisely spent. But Kirklees won't spend it on schools if the school doesn't, maybe the school hasn't got enough children anyway. They're undersubscribed anyway, so they're not going to put more money into that school. So it's not always what the residents would like to have.
Okay, thank you, Chris, and then Gemma.
Yeah, again, the point I was going to make has kind of been made by Jane. I think it's probably something for national government to look at these Section 106 regulations and tighten them up, because clearly developers have worked out a loophole, haven't they?
Yeah.
That,
As is often the case. Gemma.
over to Angela Rayner.
Are you calling me Angela Rayner?
There was meant to be something in the King's speech, though, wasn't there? And it was pulled.
It was, yeah. It is a national problem. I do know that. A couple of months ago, so I think it would have been, it would have been kind of the end of May. I did write to Kirklees with the list of here's the ones that we think are stuck, and also copied in all of the ward councillors. So we have already been in touch with ward councillors, the new as they are now, about this, but I've not heard back from anybody at all.
Oh well, we can go back and say, can we have a response, please?
I can resend it all to everybody.
Yes, that would be a good idea. Thank you very much. Steve, did you want?
No, it's just that one, it was meant to be in the King's speech, but can we not ask Kirklees legal people to make the suggestions of what money, Section 106 money goes to, so loosely worded that developers can't wriggle out of it? So it's for the public good, and Kirklees to determine, therefore, where it goes. I mean, the Hayde Edge builders, for instance, will put down, we'll put it to education. Well, Hayde Edge School won't use it, and therefore, in a few years' time, they'll just pocket the money and walk away. It's just.
So are you making a proposal here of who to say what to about?
Well, I mean, is it Highways or Kirklees legal team? I don't know, but that they are more vigorous in countering the developers as to where they want to put money, because they know they're going to get the money back in due course.
So are you suggesting that we ask Kirklees legal?
Yeah.
If there is any way the regulations around 106 can be changed in order to make them easier to use the money, but
so
harder for the developers.
So Kirklees can determine, okay, we've got this money. It's not geographically centered on a tiny spot. It's not centered on a particular action, but we will use it for local community good, to benefit local people, rather than a tiny little minority which and are never going to use it.
Mary?
I mean, I think the S106 for the two applications we've been discussing is a case in point, isn't it? Because who decided it was going to go on the improvements to the play, the play area? Yeah. And evidently, it's the residents. That's not what the residents want, and Kirklees is enhancing the play area, isn't it? With so it's a waste, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Maybe what I was wanting to ask if we could have a decision in principle that when Section 106 money is in the offing that we are proactive, and I think this actually is in the NP, and it is in the NPPF that local communities can get together and make suggestions about how SDS 106 is spent, so that when the next time we get a large development, that perhaps we could be proactive and organise a meeting, and possibly alongside the Kirklees ward councillors, that we should just take an active role, really.
Is it too late to do that with these two Hayde Edge applications?
I don't know.
I wouldn't
Can
have
we
thought
not
so,
add that to our suggestions to Kirklees? Say something very specific about 106 money.
I mean, we're already putting it, aren't we, in our response to those two applications, but perhaps we could organise something with the ward councillors or with Joe and Lawrence. I mean, it doesn't have to be a meeting; it could become some kind of survey, couldn't it? But I just think we should, you know, I feel it's what we should be doing. You know, we should be reaching out and you know, trying to gauge the mood of residents, because after all, you know, we make a big play of being closest arm of government, branch of government to residents, and we don't actually do it very often.
Yeah.
I don't know what other people think, if it is too late now for the.
I wouldn't. I mean, the planning applications only just come in, haven't they? And
Yeah.
the Section 106 money, the outcome of that will probably be discussed over the next 18 months.
But we can put something in our list of things that we're saying about these developments, which makes explicit reference to 106, which we've talked about, but goes further by saying we think the ways in which 106 money is tied down in applications needs to be dealt with. You know, that so that residents and communities' requirements or ideas or suggestions or desires, or however you want to phrase these things, actually are reflected and actioned. I mean, rather than it being the developers saying, we're spending, this is how we're going to spend it, or this is how you're going to spend it, rather.
I think a conversation with Lawrence would be a good idea, because I mean, it was one of his suggestions in his response to us, and he's done an awful lot of work, and he knows that community really well. So he would probably be the best person to say, how should we set about this in terms of consulting community? We know, do we have a meeting, or do we do some house-to-house delivery? And
so can we put that down as an action point then, Gemma, that we'll consult with Lawrence about how best to proceed in terms of a consultation with local residents about 106 money and the Hage Edge developments?
Sorry, go again. I didn't quite catch all of that. Consult, who's the action point for?
That we want to contact Lawrence.
Well, I can contact him, or Sarah could, as no doubt we'll see him soon.
Yeah, I don't mind either which way. I'll contact Lawrence then.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and regarding getting some
regarding consulting Hage Edge residents about how the S106 is allocated.
Yeah, I mean, if this was my area, I'd be quite happy to go around knocking on doors of affected properties and talking about the types of things that Section 106 money can be spent on, and getting a bit of a view. I mean, it's not very scientific. My fear is, like, Kirklees is going to again take any notice of this, and like if we were to spend money on having a public meeting, that ultimately Kirklees and the developer were just going to ignore. And you know, again, why are we getting involved in something that is perhaps out of our remit?
I don't think it's outside our remit, is it? Because I think in the NPPF it suggests that it's something that parish councils can get involved, local communities and parish councils should get involved in. So I think it is part of our remit, or it could be, or should be part of our remit.
Is this something we could talk about with neighbouring parish councils, Denbigh, Kirkburton, and come with a joint view?
And then get an agreement with Kirklees about what the process is.
Go with the united voice from a wider area.
Yeah.
How would we progress that?
I know we shouldn't be putting extra work on the clerks at the moment, but I suppose it would actually fall to the clerking team, but I'm loath to give them extra work. Maybe I could get the other clerks' addresses and I would write to them as chair of this council. So it takes it off the
I'm happy
shoulders
to
of the clerking team.
pass on the local ones. I think probably what might be sensible is for you to go in the public session at their meetings to talk to them about it, or one of you to
Yeah.
go across
Yeah,
to sort of put your proposal to them.
Yeah.
Or you could submit papers for them to view at council. Not all of them have planning committees as such. Some of them are organised in a way where they meet once a month and it's just everything's full council once a month and everything goes through in that way. So they've all got ever so slightly different setups. Steve, I can send you the town clerk
I'll just
email
write to the
addresses.
clerks and sort of see if we can get some sort of discussion going across the rural area.
Okay.
Very good.
Chris?
Yeah, another question that occurs to me. Is this something that, is it NALC, that our local government lot that advises on other things would be able to give some advice on how this Section 106 process should work between parish councils and the local authority?
It will vary across
the
different
experience
places.
of trying to get advice from NALC is that they always refer you back to the clerking team and won't deal with you directly. But whether that was because the questions I was asking was, I don't know. But that's what I was told. All requests come through the clerks.
I'll root out the statement in the revised NPPF that suggests that this is an area in which parish councils could be involved. I mean, another possibility, obviously, is the local residents associations, talking to them as well. But I just think in terms of Heydage, Lawrence probably is a good, and Joe, obviously, by courtesy, is a good contact. So I'll contact both.
You will contact both.
Are you?
I thought I was doing it.
Okay, you do them both. Yeah.
Are you okay? You can.
Sorry, no, you
you
did
can
say Sarah.
contact
Sorry,
Joe if
my
you want to.
mistake. My
I thought
mistake.
it would make sense if
Yeah, it does make sense for you to do it.
you contact both Lawrence and Joe as the ward councillors about community engagement. Yeah. Yeah.
About this specific.
Yes. Yeah.
Not in general principle.
Heydage 106. Yeah. Yeah. But Steve, you're going to get Clark contact details from Gemma.
Yeah, and I'll write to
take it from there.
neighbouring clerk. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on 106? Okay. And then last is the publicising the work of the Herne Valley Parish Council. I would suggest that when we've made some headway with the consultation of communities in Heydage about this planning, that would be a really nice little publicity item. But that's a bit not saying now this is what we're going to do, but wait until we've actually got some action to point to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's fine. Just to mention that the civic consultation, speaking of consultations, you'll have seen it on social media. There's only about a week left now. So if you've not done it already, now is the time. And also, if you see it pop up on social media, please share it to your own feeds as well, or any groups that you're in, because that all helps to spread the message.
And we're out on the bridge again this Saturday.
Yep.
Last push.
Yeah.
Yep. Just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So,
it's also only a couple of days to go on the grant applications as well. So if you see one of those, please share that as well.
Yeah.
okie dokie. Think that's it then.
Have
Yep.
we?
Thank you very much indeed,
Right.
everybody. And
Thank you.
particularly, Gemma,
Thank
to you.
Sarah, yeah. This
Overseeing
sounds like
this
quite an
committee.
efficient way of
Oh,
doing
great.
things, doesn't it? I think. I feel this is quite an efficient way of doing things. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.